What's up, everybody? Welcome to Inside the Game, your one source for everything cool in video games. If you want to be a part of the show, then head to insidethegame.ca, where there you can submit your clip and end off our show. You want to see more of our videos? Then head to Inside the Game over on YouTube and join our Discord there as well. We got lots of cool people in there talking games all the time. Now, coming up on this week's show, we got some big hitters. We got Desperados, we've got VR coming back with Lies Beneath, and one game you're not going to want to miss. I'm talking about The Last of Us Part 2. But first, here's the inside scoop.
It has now been confirmed by the developers that Chivalry 2 is coming to the current gen consoles alongside its Epic Game Store release. Now, it is as well supposed to come out for the new Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 at a later time, but we'll learn more about that in the future. Chivalry is the latest in its franchise that aims to be a crazy medieval warfare kind of game. Sometimes asymmetrical, sometimes big team battle. Either way, a lot of carnage as you choose your loadout, your type of knight, so to speak, and join the battlefield to wreak havoc. A lot of the really fun game modes in Chivalry are the bigger scale sides of things, the large scale warfare and the assault on the castle style matches. Now, to assist with filling those games up, which isn't really too difficult, they're offering cross-play right out of the gates. You'll be able to play PC, cross-console, any mismatched group of players you want, and find your friends on the battlefield. Chivalry 1 was really exciting, and I'm looking forward to Chivalry 2, so let's keep our eyes open for any more news in the future.
So the Video Game Awards were last year, and we definitely got a teaser for the Xbox Series X during that event, and it was awesome. And we got to see some of the games coming out at launch, or kind of the tease for games coming out, close to launch. And one of those games was Hellblade 2: Senua's Saga. We definitely got a look at kind of a really intense cinematic trailer for the game, and kind of add to that, because it's such a visually stunning game already, we found out that Epic Games' Unreal Engine 5 is going to be implemented into the new Hellblade 2. And I think that's awesome, because it's a game that's so visually driven already. When you use this new Unreal Engine 5, I've seen videos of kind of what it's capable of, and it's amazing. It's going to be stunning with these next-gen consoles, and I can't wait to see moving in, forward before launch, how we're going to see different developers hop on board and also use this game engine for developing their new games. And I think just when next-gen consoles come out in the holiday season 2020 this year, it's going to be almost jaw-dropping to see how visually stunning these games are. So I'm just so excited for this, and I can't wait to see, what's to come.
It has finally arrived. Year 4, Season 2, the Season of Tyranny in For Honor. This is awesome because the first major milestone that we actually get to see already is the Metal Trials. This is a really interesting and fun game mode that we've seen once before, a few times before, but it's you and up to 3 friends against 4 legendary warriors from the campaign. And we have this available until July 2nd, and you actually get to earn exclusive rewards through this event. So make sure you hop on that to try to get some of those things. And the most exciting thing I think about all of this is as of August 6th, we will be getting a new hero added to the roster in For Honor. It's been a little bit of a drought since we've had a new character, and adding characters is always exciting. It adds depth to the game, it adds some more mechanics, and I'm really excited to see who this will be.
We covered the PlayStation 5 reveal event over on our Twitch channel this week, and PlayStation, they came out swinging, announcing 28 games coming to the PlayStation 5, and they opened up with a longtime favorite, Grand Theft Auto 5. It's being redone for the PlayStation 5, and GTA Online is going to be free for all PlayStation 5 owners. Now, it's not coming until 2021, but what is coming in 2020 is Spider-Man. They announced the upcoming game, Spider-Man from Insomniac Games. Miles Morales is back. He'll be in this game as the main protagonist. Very little information is known. We don't know our price point We don't know if it's a standalone game or just a spin-off turn from the original Spider-Man. But they met business this week, and they also announced some other favorites that you definitely have to swing by our YouTube channel to check out. But Hitman 3 is a sneak peek, and something I've been kind of predicting for a while, Horizon Zero Dawn 2 Forbidden West is coming as well. No date was given, unfortunately, but that is something we can't wait for. And then they ended things off with what we've all been kind of looking forward to, was the actual look of the PlayStation 5. They're coming out with 2 models and of course a bunch of accessories. The base model will have a disc-less unit, so that's a complete download system, and then the other model probably gonna be more of a price point on that one because it does have the disc. And on the front of it we noticed a USB port as well as a C USB port. So there's 2 USBs on the front, one button depending on which model you get. The other button was an eject button, if you can take a look at that. And then they announced a new headset, a docking station for the PS5 DualSense controller, and a remote, and another camera, because we couldn't just carry over the other camera because it does 1080, and that's all the new one does as well. So I guess if you don't have it, you're gonna be able to get a new camera now, and away you go for streaming, because that is gonna be a big push moving forward with the next gen consoles, the ability to be able to stream moving forward right from your home. So that's pretty cool. Nice little take, and a big surprise from PlayStation is how well they actually did with this event. We had discussed it, and our overall thoughts was PlayStation actually nailed this event. They did a lot better than what we feel Microsoft did when they revealed all their stuff that was third party, where Sony did third party, but they also did first party and second party. Coming in hot with a lot of games. We're gonna get Godfall, which sounds like it's gonna be on a launch window kind of time frame, hopefully an actual launch game. We were hoping to have Horizon Zero Dawn 2 as a launch title, but it doesn't appear to be. So hit us up at InsideTheGame.ca and let us know what you thought of the PlayStation 5.
Last week, EA Games had 5 games make Steam's top 10 best-selling list. That's right, 5 out of the top 10 were EA games. And guess what? They've only been on Steam for just over a week now. EA Games is going to be releasing games throughout the summer onto the Steam platform. We're also going to be able to get the EA All Access Pass, which has also been on consoles before, which is a really cool pass that you can pay monthly or annually. It's a pretty low price too, and you get great discounts on a full library of games. You get access to a bunch of pre-release games they already have in a huge library. There's a lot to have here, and it's really cool to see them bring this to the Steam platform, because I'm personally one that does subscribe to this on Xbox, and I think it is a great service. And honestly, Steam's looking to bolster their library even more with the likes of the Epic Games Store doing things like releasing free games as well. So one big thing for them is they need to kind of get a handle and stay ahead of them. So this is a really good way to do that. And I think the EA All Access Pass coming later this summer is going to be kind of a really cool thing to have on Steam. And we're going to learn a lot more about this during EA Play Live on June 18th. So make sure you check that out.
Frequently the subject of a lot of reviews on our show, and the winner of many awards, Head Up Games is really killing it at the Guerrilla Collective show in part of the indie summer lineup. Some of the highlights from their presentation are the roguelike RPG card game Cardaclysm, and another one called Colt Canyon that looks to be coming out to Switch, Xbox, and PC very shortly. Then there was Shmup Rigid Force Redux, and Outbuddies DX. And then on the second day of the presentation, they showed Lost at Sea, which is still under development and for a further off date. Head Up has produced a lot of games that we have really enjoyed on the show, so we're looking forward to the next news on these titles and more for the indie summer games.
So I just got my first look at Observer System Redux. This reimagination, recreation of an all-time classic being brought to next gen. This game looks incredible. You play as a detective, but not just any ordinary detective. You're playing as a neural detective, an observer they're called. And these guys have the ability to actually hack into the minds of dead people and see what kind of memories they've had to kind of help build towards unsolving the mystery of a murder. So within this trailer, you get a pretty good peek at how amazing it looks in comparison to what it came from, and just, you know, what we get to look forward to later this year. Alright, Scott, so out of the blue, we're going beyond blue. Alright, Scott, so we got hands-on with a really interesting game, an educational game at that, and this is from ELLIE Media. These guys are known to do these kinds of games, but this is the first time I got my hands on anything like this, dude. So, kind of diving into this one, you're pretty much set out in the ocean exploring.
Yeah, very nice. Diving in is just the right description because you follow a series of dives in a couple different locations throughout the ocean, and you're scanning a lot of animals and documenting them and putting forth this narrative that's told to you as you go. But it's a heavy slant on the educational. When you scan these animals, they get added to an encyclopedia of sorts, and you can review all that later on.
Yeah, man, and like you said, dude, this whole game is pretty much scanning different types of species, and then it's not just scanning it once. Some of these fish, you know, you have to scan 42 of them to fully unlock the entirety of their encyclopedia. So there is a bit of a grind to this game, but you're kind of just set out swimming, going from checkpoint to checkpoint, and usually each checkpoint is this kind of camera point, and it camera/sonar thing where you're going out and scanning for the sperm whales or the humpback whales or the orcas, and you're kind of just tracking different families down throughout the story.
Yeah, you're using real oceanographer kind of equipment to ping and track and listen to these whales and dolphins and such, even to the point where your kind of side characters develop a way of communicating back to the whales, which is a real experiment that was carried out in the early 2000s. It's really interesting that they kind of go with this real world base towards the game, and it is an educational slant, but they want you to kind of explore at your own leisure, and I get a very strong casual sense from this game where you're just meant to slowly acquire all the information, because like you said, sometimes to finish an animal it's 42 scans. That is a real number to complete its entire entry. Now, that might not appeal to everybody, but I'm an achievement hunter for one, so that's something that keeps me in the game a little bit longer, and you do learn real facts from it. It's pretty interesting.
And a nice touch that they have is if you end up missing, you know, some of the fish from the previous areas, you actually get the ability to revisit any of the areas at any time once you've completed the game. So that was I was a little bit worried because partway through I was like, uh-oh, I might have missed a couple things. But thankfully they give you that kind of sort of grace.
Yeah, and there is a lot of different areas as well. There's things from just more open water kind of experiences to more of a reef type environment that's very winding, even at the floor with some vents and things like that. You explore a lot of really cool different aspects to the ocean that maybe you wouldn't think about unless you were somebody who was super into this.
Dude, one of the most fascinating things I learned about through this game is immortal jellyfish. There are jellyfish that we don't even know how long they've been alive because they have this sort of regenerative ability where they get to a certain age and they can kind of bring back their life to like an infant stage almost. It's, you know, that's just one of the many things that I learned. And after you complete each mission or dive, they call it, you unlock a new set of videos. And there's a good chunk, like it's probably about a half an hour long worth of 1 to 2 to 3 minute long videos, and they're all just really well done, interviewing, very reputable people from National Geographic and other marine biologists. And, you learn about some of these people and their real life stories. It's incredible, man.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of research and a lot of work put behind this. There's a lot of big name studios that definitely kind of lended a hand to some of the research here, and this is a work of many, many people coming together.
Yeah, it was truly incredible and inspiring.
So we are working this year on a new project to deploy tags on orcas. We need to learn more about the diet and how they use the habitat. So by deploying those tags, we get the information we need. It is the least invasive method. It is suction cups. So it is not a scratch on the whale afterwards, which is something we really like.
In the deep sea, we use these robotic claws from the oil and gas industry that gets you the sample, but this is so archaic. So we've been designing something called squishy robot fingers, which are ways to be gentle when we study the deep sea.
So one of the interesting things about this game is that it puts you next to a lot of these really big ocean creatures. The whales give you a scale of just how tiny people are, or just how massive some of their variants can be. Going up next to these things, you can kind of see that sometimes the graphics aren't necessarily the strongest part of this game, but it is kind of, it definitely does a job, and it's not led to be the most shiniest thing. It definitely gets across the idea that these creatures are very lively and very expressive.
Yeah, man, they show a lot of character in all these creatures. When you see them at different points throughout the game, they're having different sorts of behavior, and it's really cool. As you scan them, you actually get to learn about them more. It's really quite interesting. And unfortunately, there was just kind of one thing that kind of hindered my experience a little bit. I was having some frame rate issues, but it wasn't a total, I wouldn't say it took away from the whole game, but it was maybe something that maybe just needs to be optimized. Even when being, out of mission when you're on your ship, I was running at less than 30 FPS.
Yeah, that's strange. Now, we are on different models, I believe, of Xbox, so maybe there's something to that, but I didn't necessarily have all the same issues. I did have some frame rate, especially in the sub, now that you mention it. Going in and out of that, maybe there's a load screen happening that we're just quite not aware of. Something's up with that.
Yeah, it's quite possible. And kind of we'll touch briefly onto the ship. When you're out of missions, I thought they did a pretty cool job with this. I spent a good half an hour kind of just sifting through their music, and they actually have a really solid playlist. And it kind of expands as you do more missions. And again, some of them are just whale sounds that it's just really peaceful and it just really sets the mood for this whole entire game.
Yeah, I feel like you're getting a bit of a soundtrack pick from somebody's personal mix. Somebody that has to do with this oceanographer work, and perhaps somebody that maybe they tied the story more closely to. We're not exactly sure at this moment if it's entirely a work of fiction or based on some real person's life. They certainly do allude to real people in the game several times, and a lot of the characters you speak to from the submarine produce a lot of character drama and advance a story that is totally secondary to the Aqua, kind of experience.
Yeah, and they did a really good job to kind of actually just getting you to think. And they have a couple dialogue options, kind of how you just react to certain things that they say. But all in all, it really it hit me right in the good spot, man. This whole game from start to finish.
Hey, did you show Nana my live stream tonight?
School's great, thanks for asking.
You asked me not to ask.
Much appreciated.
Hey, check this out.
No way. Is that a baby whale?
Mm-hmm. And her very, very proud mother. She delivered early.
That's some view. You're really living the dream.
Thanks.
So Nate, that was a deep dive in Beyond Blue. Now, that was a lot of information to take in, and it was a lot more casual than maybe we were expecting, but All in all, I had a really good time. I think this game achieves what it set out to do. And although it's not the most flashy, exciting game, if you're into oceanography, you're definitely gonna love something like this. I want to give this an 8 out of 10.
Well, dude, I am right there with you. I loved the educational side of it. The gameplay is just very casual and inspiring. The story that they created within the game, as well as the ocean side story, it just, everything jived with me. 8 for me, man. A combination of exploration and a wealth of oceanography for those gamers with a passion for life under the sea.
First time I was in a submarine, I saw that life down there and 50 new questions popped into my brain that wouldn't have come up because it was this immersive experience and I just felt it.
When you're in a submarine and you're looking at these magical environment, you're overwhelmed by this sense of wonder. You're humbled by this feeling of there's so much I don't know about the world, and you're stimulated to figure out how this all works together.
I'm a marine biologist. I'm someone who studies the ocean from as many angles as I can.
When my kids ask me what I do for a living, I tell them that I'm an explorer. I'm an aquanaut. I dive down to the bottom of the ocean and I see things that people have never seen before. How lucky am I to be able to share this amazing habitat with the rest of the world?
All right, Nate, grab your horse. We're heading to the Old West.
Yeehaw!
When you pull that off, you're ready for a gun. See you later, Johnny.
Nate, you and I jumped into the Old West with Desperados III, a prequel to the launch of the game in 2001. This is a real-time tactical game set in a isometrical top-down view. And I think, honestly, you and I had complications when it came to the camera controls, but the actual gameplay and story of the game was really, really cool.
Oh, absolutely, man. So, for me, this kind of type of game strikes home with me. I grew up playing Commandos. Most people probably haven't even heard of this, but this is the first game that I've played since then that's actually this genre. So, man, this struck home, like I said. There's about 5 or 6 characters, and each of them kind of have a set of abilities.
Yep.
One is one guy has a bear trap, and he's really strong and can carry more bodies. One guy has a sniper rifle and kind of like a lure bag, whereas another girl has like disguise available. So there's lots of different characters available that you kind of slowly unlock as the game progresses.
Yeah, I like Dr. McCoy. He's the one with the sniper, which is a very unique perspective when you actually handle his character. You're able to swap between characters over up in the right corner by holding down the right bumper, or their abilities by holding down the left bumper, and you kind of cycle through those. And the sniper, I thought that perspective was so unique because you're still down in that top-down view, but then you get a scope that shows up and allows you to kind of hover over your targets. You're able to zoom in and out by holding down the trigger and moving. Man, honestly, Nate, the controls for the camera was probably the biggest problem of this game for me. When you hold down the right trigger, which then pulls up a wheel that allows you to move around and stuff, and you zoom in and then you pivot at the same time, or if you let go of that trigger, you just move with the right trigger, the right analog stick, which then pivots the whole camera up and down. The problem being is your characters are somewhere else on the map at times while you're moving this camera, and it just becomes so cumbersome that you lose track of where you are. There is, with the help of the D-pad, the ability to recenter yourself, but it's still just, it's such a disconnect, and I wanted something more of the camera that would follow my characters as I progressed through each level, instead of having this. It almost felt like it was on PC in a sense, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, because the game that I grew up playing was on PC,
sure.
And you can really feel that this game would excel with a mouse and keyboard. Just with this style of game, it is, it's a hard thing to kind of master the controller mapping. So I don't know, man. I don't know what exactly they could do, because I just found myself really kind of struggling for the first little while of just how to navigate around the map.
Yeah, absolutely.
Works for me. What are you doing?
He doesn't need that money anymore.
Money, huh? Heads down.
Alright, so the story I thought was, again, where this game excelled. You're kind of following this character, Cooper, and as he's tracking down this guy named Frank, which you don't really know much about. You just know that his name's Frank and that he may be a good guy or a bad guy. And along the way, you meet all these other characters like McCoy, who's kind of outset doing his own thing, but ends up helping you along the way. And then you reunite with an old buddy who's this really big, strong guy. And again, somehow you just kind of cross your stories with this woman named O'Hara. And then you end up helping her. So just all in all, the way they kind of progress the story through each mission, they did a really good job. And the story really opens up. It takes a while, you know, because these missions aren't short. They're really long.
Yeah.
So this game kind of takes a while to really open up to the main story.
It's a cool story. It's a cool aspect of how they introduce you to each of these characters. And the fact that it is a stealth game as well really kind of fits my playstyle a lot, to be honest, Nate. I had a great time taking my time, getting my positions right, and then you've got the ability to use your skills, as well as you suddenly go down into like this timed game mode where you're able to almost kind of set it up like an XCOM in a sense that you plan out your skill, your next move, as well as your buddy's next move, and then you let that unfold, and then you see kind of how it all plays out, and you're able to take out your targets the way you want to. And I thought it was a really neat aspect that you're able to bring into the game as well, instead of just going around for this real-time tactical kind of game mode at the same time.
Yeah, because, man, there are a lot of times where you can't just take out one guard. You sometimes have to take 2 to 3 guards out at the same time or simultaneously so you don't get caught.
Yep.
Because that's another thing with this game. There are guards everywhere, and as soon as someone gets caught, it sets off an alarm, which immediately spawns a ton of guards permanently on the map. So you're, honestly, granted, you know, a couple of missions you have to set off the alarm, but for the most part, you're kind of set out not setting it, or else you're kind of lost.
Yeah, it gets really tough too, but I do like the fact that when you die, you can instantly respawn relatively quickly, and they ask you to save a lot. Like, so if you don't save over the progression of like 30 seconds to a minute, it actually prompts up a window when you saved last. So it's kind of that risk reward. If you want to kind of draw that out and not save, you're taking a bit of a chance, because this game is going to have you die a lot of times.
Oh, absolutely, man. That over and over again. The quick save feature by just quickly pressing the select button at any time is amazing, and having that reminder available and be able to set the time too, because I found a minute sometimes is a little bit irritating.
Yeah, that's fair.
But you can you know, customize that. What a great feature to have in this style of game.
You guys don't do half measures. See you later.
Nate, one of the cool aspects of the game is actually when you complete the game, because it's not quite done. You're able to go back and do this challenge mode, which gives you a sense of replayability and not just a once and done kind of playthrough. But overall, our time with Desperados 3, I think, was a great time. Nate, what do you score in this one?
Oh man, I had a really good time. This game struck home. I loved the tactical aspect. The graphics absolutely attracted me, man. I'm gonna have to give this one an 8.5. The biggest thing is the camera controls, man. If they could somehow kind of fix that, this game could almost be perfect.
Almost. I'm right there with you. I love the art style. I love the stealth aspect, and the way you're able to go down in the showdown mode is super cool. But that camera angle is a real nuisance. I'm there with an 8.
One fake coin coming up.
You gonna draw or kill me with
You hear that? He didn't hear the coin.
A great Western real-time tactical game with good storytelling and character building. The camera controls were the only hindrance.
This is nothing. We've got plenty of room.
What are we waiting for? Church and the gospel taking place like this. How ironic.
Not your lucky day, is it?
That's it. All done.
It's the fight for survival and revenge.
I'm gonna find. And I'm gonna kill. Every last one of them.
Thanks to Sony Interactive Entertainment Canada for sending us a copy of The Last of Us Part 2 for review. There was no doubt that Naughty Dog was onto something special with The Last of Us Part 1, creating memorable story and characters that will stay in our thoughts for years to come. How did they top that with The Last of Us Part 2? Create a bigger world, a longer story? Well, Naughty Dog has done just that, but also bringing back what was so good about the first game and giving us a more personal reason to care than ever before.
Hey, is Joel up?
Got reports of infected out north. You sent him and Tommy out early to scout.
That sucks.
Yep.
Bringing us one of the most incredible and believable worlds, a story that is told within the disasters of the environments that Ellie will travel through. Cars litter the streets with overgrown shrubbery that will take advantage as Ellie travels through this environment. Traveling through shops and buildings all come into play not only with combat, but with more opportunity to bring a backstory within the outstanding disaster. Finding a note of someone else's story and the trials of the outbreak and what people have gone through, to later find a note that continues that story, or to find the individual's partner leaving a note behind in hopes that they were safe, only adds to making you feel the weight of what truly has been brought upon the world. There are moments of downtime, moments where you can breathe, take a minute, gather your thoughts before heading out with Ellie's next journey. However, most of my time I felt a tension, this little knot in the pit of my stomach, where I knew something else was coming up or going to be around the corner, whether that be the infected, wolves, or the whistle of the scars. All adds to the tension and experience that Naughty Dog has brought upon this game. The Last of Us Part 2 has been a roller coaster of a ride as Ellie meets some incredible supporting characters that will bring you closer to believing in the world. However, there are some rather small quirks within the game as well. Ellie has an off-putting backwards animation that feels out of place. Instead of turning around, she will move backwards or sideways before turning. Also, the enemy AI skins are repetitive in some of the fights. The wolf faction was the most noticeable. From all the small touches in the world, like Ellie putting on her hood when it rains, the textured paint peeling off the brick wall, or all those personal notes left behind, Naughty Dog has created another masterpiece. With amazing environmental storytelling, incredible characters, and the hope for a better world, The Last of Us Part 2 was well worth the wait, and that's why it's getting a 10.
Plus, he taught me about rewiring electronics and stuff.
Another masterpiece from Naughty Dog that will leave you reliving your experience for years once again.
Scott here, and I'm back with another VR title. This one's from Drifter, and it's Lies Beneath on the Oculus Rift. So I jumped back into the world of VR, strapping that Oculus Rift S to my face, and getting scared as usual. The horror games are definitely my forte, and when I saw this one on the trailers quite a while back, it piqued my curiosity. This is a Japanese-inspired, very comic book-looking horror survival game that brings you through a bunch of different locations, and the action follows closely behind. Getting into the action, it's a lot of melee combat mixed with some gunplay at times. You find a bunch of ammo throughout the map, but it is kind of scattered, and it does want you to be careful with your shots. You have a couple different slots on you to carry things. You have one for a shotgun on your back, you have a left and right kind of holster, which you can attach a hatchet to if you like, and then you can carry weapons in your left and right hand. Now, that could be an axe, it could be a wooden spike, it could be a proper hatchet, or it could just be a bear trap that you find along the way that you pick up and throw on the ground to cause damage to zombies. That's your primary enemy, is a lot of zombies and these undead types of enemies that just kind of rush you or throw things at you from a distance. Very grotesque and very satisfying to kill. A lot of the engagements are pretty difficult when the enemies start really piling on you. There's a lot of different entryways, so sometimes they'll come from the front and the back, and it's up to you to decipher the audio cues to kind of respond to threats in the right manner. Now, it's not a rail shooter, very specifically not. Although you move really slowly, you are in complete control of your feet the entire time, and the maps are generally built in such a way that you can move quite a bit throughout your planned path. Oftentimes, you'll see your path ahead of you from another location, and you kind of have to figure out how to open up a gate or which way to go to kind of get around the obstacle or the wooden barrier in your way. A lot of the times that will reveal a kind of fight sequence where you get overwhelmed with another wave of enemies. It's not terribly difficult combat, although being slower than the enemy means I kind of just have to expend all my ammo on them. I can't afford to dodge, really. And that makes the gameplay kind of work out in a similar fashion almost every time. You throw your melee weapons, maybe saving one, and then fall back to the revolvers until you're out of ammo, at which point the reload is pretty simple. You just flick the gun out, it exposes all the cylinders and the bullets, then you flick it back in and that just gives you a fresh cylinder. So in that way, they simplified the action to kind of keep the ball rolling. The only other armament you get is not really an armament at all. You have a lighter on your chest. It's like an old Zippo style lighter that you can hold up and illuminate the area around you, but in combat it serves a certain purpose. It actually gives you a reticle on screen, so you don't have to actually try and aim down the sights. It can be very useful in the thick of battle, but at the same time it takes your left hand out of the fight. But they also use that lighter in an interesting way for the horror aspects of the game. A lot of the time it puts you in this really uncomfortable position of warping you out of whatever area you were just in and then putting you into something that's very dark, and you're tempted to go for that lighter, and when you do, it takes advantage of you. This game is not shy to take the cheap shot. It will try and jump scare you, and that's something that I appreciate, and it was a little bit cliche, but in this game and this environment with the cartoony comic book kind of feel, it still got me, even though I was somewhat expecting it. It's really cool the way this artwork and the atmosphere they build really seeps into your psyche, and after a while, not too long, you kind of forget that you're in the middle of a VR game, and everything kind of gets scary, and it starts to really have an effect on you. And that's amazing for a horror game. Now, when I saw this game, I didn't really think there was going to be as much combat as there was, and it was really kind of pleasantly surprising that there would be this much challenge to the game. But I did kind of miss the feeling of total horror. Like, I was too relieved too often with a combat section, and that got me through the next area. I understand that's definitely there for pacing, but I would have liked to see a little bit more of the horror, uncomfortable elements worked in alongside of it. It too often felt like a section of horror followed by a section of gunplay, and then another section of horror, similar to the way Fear kind of plays at you. I think my initial take of it in watching the trailer was it was going to be more of a psychological thing, putting you through a lot of different stresses, and that adds and builds until eventually, you know, you just have to face your fears and enter the dark room or whatever it is. They definitely did certain aspects of that, but for that to just dissolve away immediately after the scare into kind of like a last stand, last cabin defense kind of thing, it just kind of cheapened the horror a bit. I don't want to use that terminology because it's a little harsh, but it just kind of took away that edge where I thought the game was going. That being said, it is really fun in those last stand scenarios to expend everything you've got. It really does put you to the wall sometimes, where all the boarded windows are breaking in, you're throwing bear traps to kind of just get some free damage off on these enemies, and then you just have to switch to your shotgun and just clear them in a frantic fury. It's really fun the way they built the pacing in this game. And then other times you'll be walking through the woods and there's a lot of fog and you don't really see the enemies, but they're just kind of slowly throwing things at you and doing things that are a lot less in your face. So there's definitely different enemy types, and they definitely get at you in different ways. It gives you a lot to contend a bit with when you're walking through a new area and you're not really sure what's coming at you next. Now, the game saves by the use of fires or torches that you come across on the way. A little lantern, so to speak, that you light with your lighter, and that gives you a checkpoint. Sometimes you can find collectibles on the way between these checkpoints, and that'll give you just a special item or perhaps some more ammo at the next bonfire that you come across. It's a return to calm that you come to get used to. The audio in this game is definitely really well done. It has that binaural, of course, being a virtual reality game, then the horror aspects of it, it really needs to sell that scare. A lot of the times it is a jump scare type effect, but sometimes it's more subtle, where I'll hear a whispering next to my face, and that's a jump scare as well. But the visuals to go along with the audio are also really well done. I want to stress that this game looks beautiful. And I have an Oculus Rift S. I understand this game came out for the Oculus Quest, and it was very well received on that as well. So the graphics have this comic book effect to them. A lot of the time when you throw an item into the wood, it'll pop up with like a thwack or a bam or something to that effect to show the action. It's just a charming little nod, man. You quickly forget that you're in a comic book world, but when you look at some of the enemies and some of the scary things that come at you, it really allows you to think in this more imaginative way. It didn't kind of ruin its horror by trying to appear real. It really skips over that and just gives you that really creepy manga effect that something like Junji Ito is super famous for. And that's what I was looking for in this game, and I was pretty pleasantly surprised. That was a little bit of my opinion on The Game Lies Beneath. This is quite spectacular. I had a great time with it, and the horror versus survival aspects of it, I hope I've done a little bit to explain how intricate it works. It does a good job of marrying both these types of games together in a way that is quite memorable, and I really hope to see a sequel in the future. Games in VR have kind of hit another standard, and this is definitely one that fits that groove as well. Now, as for a score, I want to give this one a 7.5. An awesome game from a great studio, a healthy mix of horror and monster slaying action in beautiful environments.
What's up, everybody? This week, Nate and I are jumping into Destiny 2. They just recently announced their latest update coming on September 22nd, and well, we thought we'd jump back in for Season of Arrival. Check this out.
Wanted a return to war on the moon. They built a lunar fortress to back their assault. A grand stage to announce their revival. You climbed that scarlet citadel, and the Hive met you head-on. You buried them. But we found more than Hive on the moon. The dark has reached out. We have no choice but to reach back.
Oh, here we go. What is this? This is cool.
Oh yeah.
Do you think Bungie stepped it up there for this DLC that's coming in September?
Yeah, actually, it seems like it's pretty cool. It's gonna be another good chunky one.
Nice.
Once you see the whole kind of hour-long video, they break down the next few years actually. So
awesome. I heard it's going for 3 years. What their plan is, right?
Yeah.
We'll get into discussion this week about it.
I'm pretty excited. I'm gonna have to kind of watch over it again because there's a lot of information.
Right. Oh man, really? I wonder why, Scott. Gotcha. All right, Nate, we ready for this or what?
Yeah, buddy. Well, that thing's pretty sweet looking, huh?
This is cool. I'm impressed. So you watched the full hour dev stream today, right?
Yeah, man.
Pretty pumped?
Yeah, definitely. I'm pretty excited to see what's in store for the fall. We actually are going to be yielding the darkness.
Oh, wow. Huh.
So there's going to be some new subclasses, and I don't know. We'll talk about it later. There's a lot of stuff.
Yep.
Whoa.
See ya.
No.
Don't.
You bring weapons.
Oh, look out.
You will not need them. We offer only truth. We will.
Something pulled us out of the beam.
Oh,
What's
man.
happening?
What is this?
What is this place?
Whoa. That was cool.
Where are we? It's pretty sweet.
Whoa.
Oh.
Are we going down? I guess we're going down. How far are we going down? All right, let's go
We're
over
back
here.
on Io, close to the cradle. I'm getting faint readings from Eris now. Let's keep moving.
Nice.
The air down here is choked with strange communications. I don't know if I can...
Is that you, Guardian?
You're needed back at the tower. Zavala sent us.
Of course he did.
Oh, we got company.
The cradle.
Ow.
It calls to me.
It? What is it?
Oh, man.
Hive are frenzied. Through them.
Zavala, did you catch that? This interference. I can't triangulate a point of origin. Keep going. Maybe the signal is better up ahead.
Hey, it's been a while since I played this.
Yeah, man.
Always feels good though to be back, eh? Ow. Get out of here. Gunplay is always so smooth for Destiny.
It's one thing Bungie is good at.
Oh yeah, they can do it right.
So they kind of
goodness.
had a little bit of information leaked about their new IP. Not really leaked, or they would have did something.
Yeah?
And it's nothing surprising.
Oh, really?
They're like, it's gonna be an RPG with necromancy and dungeons, and I'm like, wow, that sounds just like Destiny. doesn't even necessarily mean it's gonna be medieval times.
Oh man.
Because they, I mean, you know, look who we're fighting right now. These guys are all an example of necromancy.
Yeah. You're hoping for something new though, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like new and fresh from them.
I was definitely not expecting anything new. Well, I mean, dude, yeah, the new IP is gonna be. Yeah, I know they're not gonna go too crazy. They're not gonna do what Killzone did, you know. That would be kind of cool. Or the team of Killzone, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Guerrilla go into Horizon Zero Dawn. Absolutely would be cool.
Yeah.
We need to move.
Who knows? I'm wondering if it's gonna be more of like a dungeon crawler though, you know, like a Diablo style game, or if it's gonna be like third.
Yeah.
Third.
You think so?
Perspective. I just have no idea.
First person would be cool. Well,
Yeah.
we're already first person. I want to see third person. I'm more of that third person kind of player, anyways. So.
Yeah, it could be pretty cool though, wielding magic in first person. And not it could be. It is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Especially if you did it in VR, right? Oh shoot, we gotta kill this big thing.
I see that. What is that thing?
That is a shrieker.
Come on, Nate, shoot him. Oh, ow. Ow, 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 ow. Oh boy, I'm in trouble. Ah, man, I died. Hey, what is... I... Oh man, I just threw that up there. What do we got going on here, Nate?
I don't know. Some sort of necromancy shenanigans.
Ow. Dude, how do you stop that? It kind of melted me. I died pretty good. It still shoot me. I just got in here. Almost got it. Oh.
One more wave.
Yeah, that's what I figured too. Whoa. Ow. Anybody else? What's with the hive tablets?
Some sort of quest that you have.
Oh. So when's the last time you played this, Nate?
I was honestly for about half an hour, 40 minutes, maybe a week ago.
Yeah.
But before that, it was a while. So.
Holy crap.
So yeah. I got pretty heavy into not the last season, but the season before that. So.
Yeah.
All right, this thing.
Come on, we got it. We got it. There we go.
Whoa.
Nice.
There are too many of them.
We better get out of here.
Can we run? Open up.
Enough!
Oh man. We're back here now?
Whoa.
Uh-oh. Who's this?
Erismore.
You're hurt.
Ah.
It is nothing. But this is something. A tree of silver wings. It grew from the last place the traveler touched before it left this world. The darkness was drawn here, as the hive is drawn to the darkness.
Yeah.
These eyes of mine, the things they have seen.
What was that?
Something that does not want us here.
Darkness.
No. But it is of the darkness. It has to be you this time.
Nice. Dude, that is cool. And that is the intro to the newest patch for Destiny 2.
We hear you, Zavala.
Oh yeah.
Haven't found her.
The seed breaks through the interference.
Eris,
Zavala.
report back to me in the tower, both of you. Our transmissions may be compromised.
Let's not keep him waiting, Guardian.
Hmm. Dude, that is cool. Very cool to see that stuff.
That was sweet.
Yeah, that's enough to get you back into Destiny 2 for a while. At least until September 22nd, when the latest DLC comes out.
Whew. Yeah, this is gonna be a juicy one.
Well, that was this week's episode, and it was jam-packed. The Last of Us Part 2, a huge success. Man, that game is so cool. I'm glad everybody was able to watch it. Now, over at InsideTheGame.ca, you guys submit your clips. But this week, we've got one of our own coming back with more Call of Duty and popping some heads. So everybody, thanks so much for watching, and check out Corey over in Call of Duty.
Setting charge.
Set in charge.